During William McKinley's time as president, the U.S. saw its involvement with the nation of China take some dramatic turns. China had been caught up in a war with the island nation of Japan during 1894 to 1895. The war resulted in China's defeat and left the huge, disconnected country largely in disarray. While the Chinese people struggled to survive, Japan began to exploit many of China's resources as spoils for the victor. Soon after, several major European powers also began to move in and take control of China's substantial resources. Many U.S. leaders urged the McKinley administration to also set up shop in China so that the U.S. did not miss out on a huge economic opportunity while the other countries stripped China clean. To enter the situation in a less overbearing manner, McKinley's Secretary of State, John Hay, contacted each of the countries that had economically invaded China and requested them to observe what was termed an open-door policy. The note asked the countries to respect Chinese rights and adhere to a fair competition for the Chinese resources.
The mission of the United States is one of benevolent assimilation. William McKinley, 1898.
The governments of Britain, Germany, France, and Japan all agreed to the open-door policy, but Russia became the fly in the ointment. They refused to commit to the plan. Seeing this, the other nations also began to ignore the policy, causing it to be weak and relatively ineffective. But even though the other world powers were diving into China with a fury, the U.S. continued to observe its open-door policy in China. The systematic plundering of China did not sit well with the group of Chinese patriots known as the Boxers. In 1900, under the battle cry, "Kill Foreign Devils," the Boxers rebelled, killing 200 foreigners. In response, a multinational task force of 18,000 troops, including American soldiers, was shipped in to bring the rebellion under control. The overwhelming force easily suppressed the Boxer group. Then, to punish the people behind the rebellion, leaders of the multinational group decided to assess the country an indemnity of $300 million, due immediately, as reparation for sending troops to China. At that time, China was still cash poor, and the United States officials realized this reparation was far too excessive. The intention was obviously to further punish and repress the Chinese. So, as an act of friendship, the U.S. returned $18 million to the Chinese. To show their appreciation, China began sending large numbers of students to the U.S. to study. Many of these students returned to China and became leaders and major influencers in the movement to westernize China. This eventually became a major step in improving Chinese-American relations.